Hello, and welcome to the Ask Industry Podcast, episode 120. I'm comedian Simon Caine, and for those of you new to the show, this is the podcast where I interview the most influential people from the worlds of stand-up, comedy, radio, and today, character comedy. Simon Munnery is a comedian best known for his characters Alan Parker, Urban Warrior, and the League Against Tedium. He has an experimental style of comedy, both in terms of performance and the language that he uses. He's known for his makeshift and elaborate props, and is often labelled as surreal, and we get into why he thinks that label doesn't quite sum him up, and he doesn't quite agree with it, as well as how he made his TV show, Attention Scum, from his bedroom, and why he has an aversion to social media, and so much more. I really enjoyed this. I got so much out of this. Me and him have been trying to put on this episode for a while now, and we sort of touch upon that in the episode, so I won't ruin it too much. But I will just quickly say, I will sort of say as a side note to this podcast, I live in Rickmansworth in Hertfordshire. He lives in Bedford in Bedfordshire, and for some reason we both thought the other person lived in Luton. So we arranged to meet in a pub in Luton, where Simon goes to have a drink before local football games or gigs. We do get moved about half an hour into the episode because there's a football game on and they want to watch it, and apparently our podcast doesn't take preference over a football game. I personally disagree, but I don't want to have an argument with them because they were being kind enough to let us use the space to record for free for half an hour as it was. I've managed to cut down some of the background noise and some of the sort of additional football cheering in the background. It's pretty minimised, but I just wanted to flag it. I am aware there is a bit of background noise. Before I hit play, if you're new here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're old here, please do remember to give us an honest, ideally positive review in iTunes. And either way, please do consider joining the Facebook group. It's called Ask Industry Podcast, and it's on Facebook, obviously. But for now, without any more delays, this is Simon Munnery.
Is the title of your show, Any Room Can Be a Panic Room If You Overthink It?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask what the title of the podcast was.
Oh, no. I don't know what but did you do a show?
That is my current show title.
Because it's been boggling my mind for a bit. Any room can be a panic room if you overthink it.
Any room can become a panic room if you overthink something enough.
Okay. It begs the question, what is a panic room?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. If you don't know what that is, I'm worried that other people won't.
I had what I previously thought of as a panic room, and it doesn't add up with that sentence. So that's what is a panic room?
As I understand it. Oh, now I'm worried that I understand.
Yeah, no, you may well be wrong. Or one of us is.
Yeah. I want to Google it. A panic room, as I understand it, is a room that you go into when there is like a bunker, like Churchill's bunker would have been the panic room that he would have gone into to get away from when they were bombing London.
Right. I had in my mind it was something sort of room you go into which is soft and it's like to calm you down when you're panicking. Oh,
okay. No, that's not what I had in my head.
Right. I don't. Is it a bunker?
Yeah, it was like it's meant to be a play on mental health. Because it's like if you're sat like me, often if you're sat in a room and like you see a girl you like and you overthink how you can even go and say hi, you're panicking. I sort
of get the gist of it. I get what you meant to say, I think. But I think
I've just registered this with Edinburgh. God, I spent hours on this the other day.
It's fun. Something may come of it.
No, it's fine. I like that.
Any room could be. It's not that well known as a thing in, I don't know, a panic room. Well, you assume that's the room you go to when you're panicking.
Okay.
That was my panic room. And then if you overthink anything, you can panic.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a panic room is like a picnic room where you go to have picnics. Yeah. A panic room is where you go to panic. But any room could be a panic room if you overthink it.
Yeah.
What's a panic room?
Why
would anyone have a panic room?
Oh my God, I love.
It's a room you go to panic.
I love how much you've overthought a title about overthinking.
Taste your own fucking words.
I'm really worried about that now. What was your?
Well, don't panic.
No, I'm doing it right now. What's your Edinburgh title this year?
Alan Parker, Warriors Farewell Tour.
Oh, okay, cool. Why are you bringing back the character? Or have you ever retired?
I've done it for 10, 12 years. I've done it occasionally at benefits, but not for a long time.
Yeah, but it's not like a retired character because
it's been fallow.
Yeah.
And I did it at the Bill Murray a month or so ago. Thought, it does work. I remembered it all mostly. Since there are other bits, I thought, so that's that. And I've got one really nice new joke that has come to me, that occurred to me, and I thought, so that'll. that's what I'm going to do.
Is it like a best of then?
I'll do best of plus the new bit.
So it's like,
but by
do you keep the one
by the
good
time I
note?
finish, there will be other new bits. It's sort of
Yeah,
that's inevitable. But I've got a solid base,
Yeah.
shall I say, so without having to do any worrying. But I really don't want to stop doing my current show, The Wreath. I just think I really like it. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a narrative arc, and people seem to like it. So Bristol next week, this coming week, and then Soho Theatre, and I've got one more gig in Bedford, but I'm going to see if I can book some more. I don't want to stop doing it.
Well, let's start with Alan Parker then.
Okay.
You haven't done it for 10 years.
Roughly, I mean, occasionally benefits. I haven't done it. I haven't done a full 20 minutes or an hour.
And that's so Alan Parker and League of Tedium. They're like they're the two characters.
It's League Against Tedium.
League Against Tedium.
God, all these years.
But they're the ones you're most known for.
What a bad night it was. League of.
When you overthought it, that's the. They're the two characters you're most well known for.
Are they?
Would be according to Wikipedia, definitely.
Okay, fine.
Okay, and that's obvious. Why would that not be factually accurate?
No, it could be. You said it with such authority, I believed you.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, let's start there then.
What about the character Simon Munnery?
Well, okay.
You're right. Not as well known.
Yeah. I know. When you think when people are searching for you online, who do you think?
Are they? Is that what they do? Who are these people?
All fun.
I'm here.
It's your daughters, by the
I'm
sounds
not
of
online.
it. They're just like, hey, what's Dad doing? I was wondering what made you want to bring back Alan Parker then, and like, was there sort of a market for it? Is there like people saying we want to see it again, like, or is it just you've decided on it?
I've no idea whether there's a market for it. Barry Ferns of
Angel Company
of the Bill Murray said, "Do you want to do a sort of one Sunday every month and do your back catalogue?" I went, "Yeah, okay, let's give that a go." So I did La Concepta and Alan Parker and The Wreath, which is the new one. And I did no idea how it would go, and it went really well. And in the process of sort of trying to remember it all, or some of it, I came up with a new thought that made me laugh. And after I'd done the show, I thought, well, that's a show. I don't really know. And there's another thing I really want to do, like camera-based, and I tried that out, and it worked, but that won't be ready by August. I thought, you've got to decide what you're going to do. And also, from bitter experience, although I did it for 2 years, I'm booked. I've got a sort of semi-permanent erection. Booking at the stand, or have been for about I've been in the same room, same time for 16 years. And I did film the camera-based show twice. And it took me 2 years to realise it's exactly the wrong room. You do something entirely screen-based, because you can have a big screen on the stage, but half the audience, because of the shape of the room, half the audience sit to one side, so they've got to look out across another section of the audience to another screen in the distance. It's like watching TV, from half a mile away. Yeah. So it would be the wrong room to do that. I'd like to do it properly in something like effectively a cinema shape. But I've already got this room booked, so that sort of narrowed down my choices. So I've put that on the back burner. I know what I want to do with it, and the little bit I tried at the Bill Murray worked. I thought, I'm on something there. But that got on the back burner. I can work on it, but I'm not going to do it in Edinburgh this year. That'll be next year if I'm still alive.
I just wondered how you picked what you were going to do with Edinburgh and what your relationship is like with Edinburgh, because like you just said, you've been going there for is it 16 years or is it longer than that?
I'm very bad at dates, but
okay.
Originally I was on a 5-year deal on a handshake with Tommy.
Tommy Shepherd.
Tommy Shepherd, yeah. I should come back for the next 5 years. Yeah, fine. Or was it my suggestion? I can't remember whose suggestion it was. Anyway, the 5 years elapsed, and I just carried on. Yeah. So probably overstayed my welcome. But,
what was that deal then? Was it like you get the room, or like
you're going to come back for the next 5 years?
Oh, it wasn't like a split deal, that sort of thing, or was it just we want you here for the next 5 years?
No, I don't know if I asked. I just really loved it there, and I don't remember which way around it was. It was very late at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a 5 year, quite Stalinist 5 year plan. But anyway, I just carried on going there. I've done gigs in other shows in other places as well, but that's kind of like home. Also, I rent a flat above it, so it's all kind of
really?
It's very handy. Walk down to the gig.
Is that why? So I remember I bumped into you when I was watching a show at the stand, and you were just sort of hanging outside. So
you were
just
my dog. I have to take him out to his wheeze and poos.
Yeah. So you just walked down to get outside for a couple.
It's quite a long way down, but yes, I just walked down.
Know.
I mean, eventually I was hoping to install some sort of winch system. I could be lowered onto the stage and then raised back up when.
Could you not turn the living room of that flat into the venue and just really cut out all the?
It's a very small flat. Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice to separate your life and work a little. I
but it doesn't sound like you're doing that. So why, when you first went to Edinburgh, what was the reason you went?
Oh, cool. That's a good question. Which isn't a good answer. It's not an answer at all.
You just want to compliment my questions. I'm absolutely happy to do that to next hour.
It's a rhetorical ploy, isn't it? That's a good question. It sort of changes the tone.
Yeah.
Why did I go?
I won't get distracted.
Why did I go to Edinburgh the first time?
Do you want to paint me a picture of where your career was at when you were going up?
I was 19. I was at college. I'd done Footlight Smokers, and so I'd got the bug for performing, and there were auditions, or maybe there were auditions, that I can't quite remember, to be in a show called, it was a theatre company taking a show up to Edinburgh that year, whatever year it was, and they were doing a production of Zola's Germinal, and a review entitled Jane Austen, just Jane Austen, colon's not used as a term of abuse as much as it could be. No. Rectum, you might call something.
Rectum.
You probably wouldn't. Oh, you arse, but no, you colon.
You can't turn every word into an insult, otherwise we just...
Really?
You've been on Twitter recently, then I take it.
This is a good challenge. Called Jane Austen, Astronaut, ? Do you get that?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Just about.
What way? What?
Well, now we're just analysing titles.
It's my main occupation.
We started with, so did you write the word question mark, or did you have the...
No, I didn't write it. It wasn't my title. I was just invited or auditioned to be part of this, and it was called Jane Austen, Astronaut, ?
Okay.
What is that?
Now I'm not sure.
Okay. A long time ago, there was a TV show called The $6 Million Man.
I'm aware of that show.
And the opening titles began with Steve Austin, Astronaut. They changed it to Jane Austen, Astronaut, ?
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
No, I don't think, even at the time, I don't think it made any sense at all. Anyway, so it was, so I was in one sketch and I had 2 5-minute stand-up spots. So that was why did I do it? Because I really got the bug for doing gigs. Yeah.
But what did you know about Edinburgh at the time? What was it to you?
Yeah, before going, I didn't know. I'd heard that it was this massive festival of theatre and stuff. I didn't know, but something's going on. You kind of, it's like, as you said, do you want to go to New York? I'd go, yeah, not knowing anything about New York particularly, but like, you want to know what it is.
Yeah.
I suppose curiosity. It just seemed a thing to do.
Okay. And how long after that did it take you to develop your first show? Or was it not on the horizon? You were just writing at that point?
No, I wasn't writing. As well as, still not, as well as that. What was that? Okay, so one of also I'd been doing double act God and Jesus at Cambridge, and he was up. Steve Cheek, double act partner, was in a much higher ranked theatre company. What were they doing? Spring Awakening by Wiedekind, something like that. Anyway, he was in other plays, so we did. No, we weren't a double act then, because it was our first ever performance. We got together and did the first ever performance of God and Jesus at the Yeah, but we came back and did it the next year. Sorry, got that wrong.
It's okay.
All events. So we decided to do a double act we did it at the Fringe Club, which was where Teviot is now, where Gilded Balloon is now. At the time, that was the Fringe Club, so there were showers and food. It was basically the Students' Union, and they had a couple of venues, both of which, if I remember correctly, and I don't, but were kind of bear pit. So you could just book a slot. We booked a slot and we went on and died spectacularly.
Like Late and Live now, that sort of thing? Or?
No, Late and Live like it was. I don't think Late and Live now is...
It's still pretty much a bear pit now. I went there a couple of years ago and it just... I left after about half an hour because I was a bit like... As much fun as this is to watch like comedians sort of do their time, if you like, it's not going to be fun for the next 4 hours or however long the show goes on for.
Yeah, but Late and Live... Well, maybe, memory... taints things, but Late and Live down in Cowgate, Gilded Balloon then was it was a bear pit. It was a very exciting bear pit. It was like that's where everyone went after work.
Right.
It seemed to me there may have been other late night venues, but I didn't know any. So and it wasn't just people doing their time. It was either they booed you off or they loved you. It was kind of a decisive kind of thing. So you could storm it or die on your ass, and be heckled off. Like it was kind of a vicious and exciting type. Anyway, but the Fringe Club, that was raucous, I'd say. Thinking about Late and Live, I don't know. I haven't done it for several years, but the last one it's kind of they don't. Maybe it's just me, but they seem to be pretending to be. They get a whole video about what Late and Live is like, and then they sort of on the screen in front of them, and then they sort of try and act that out, but. It's not what it was.
Yeah.
But mo.
Yeah. So let's go to when you were starting. So you started performing at 19.
Yeah.
Ish. Okay.
My first paid gig at 19.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been performing for before you got your first paid gig?
Not very long. I don't.
Okay. Because a lot of people now, the circuit's always changed quite a bit, and it takes quite a while for most people to get their first paid gig. At least paid gigs so that you make a profit on the gig, not just a tenner for petrol or whatever. Yeah,
this was 25 quid, which in those days you could buy a house.
Okay.
A tiny house in Liverpool.
Oh,
you still can actually.
Yeah.
In some districts. No, it was 25 quid. I remember it was reasonable money. Incognito booked the gig. It was, but I've been doing open spots, so that's how that came about, and going well, I suppose. So I've been doing performing probably about a year. But that was my first paid gig. Was at 19.
Okay, and when you were starting, what was your character like, or what were you like on stage?
First thing I did was, the very first performance I did was utterly deadpan, very angry, a Footlight Smoker, where the opening line was, "Good evening, my name's Matthew." No, it isn't. I chose no, it isn't. I was just pretending as a kind of joke. I chose the name Matthew because it sounds nothing like my real name, Matthew. Another little joke for you there, not as good as the first one. Anyway, it went on, and it was 5 minutes, whatever, but the end of it was I had a cooked tomato in my hand throughout. Now another kind of joke for you, and I splattered the cooked tomato on my forehead, splashing the entire front row with cooked tomato, and they went, "Slapstick lives," and walked off. And it was just, it's a bit like if you're unlucky enough to go into a casino and win £100, you'll probably be back.
Yeah.
So my first gig was so exciting, and for me, I got the bug.
Do you remember the first joke you wrote where you thought, this is what a comedian would write? You know what I mean? Like from the comedians that you looked up to when you first started, what was the first joke you thought, this is actually like a professional level joke?
Never thought like that at all.
Okay.
That's right. There's people people who maybe sort of want to start, because they used to have comedians come up to do.
Can you hold the mic slightly nearer, just because they're.
They used to have comedians come up to Cambridge, like Arnold Brown. He was brilliant. Maybe John Hegley came. Ian McPherson, but and we got Steve G got into Ted Chippington, the various people, but I didn't want to be them particularly, or I never thought of it like that. But we used to, one thing we did was one particular night we sat around. It was me, Steve, and a couple of other people, Connell, Orton, Nick Hedges, maybe someone else, just sitting around in a pub trying to think of the most offensive possible joke you could think of, which we came up with, and then that was we then had the challenge to then do that, and it was a joke which I've heard subsequently told back to me by a taxi driver who'd won a competition in America, in New York, a joke competition with it. It is appalling. There you go.
I won't ask what it was. I won't ask what it was.
What do you get if you put a baby in a liquidizer?
I don't know.
An erection.
So fucking awful.
I know. The noise you get from an audience would either be, it's so awful that it's either just or
yeah.
It's when you take it for real.
Yeah.
But it was what was interesting. It was just pressing the the limits of what can you say on a stage. So that it was a kind of pursuit of offence was one element of it. I don't know what it was really.
That to me is really. So how old were you at that age?
Early not 20. So.
Yeah. So because now there's a lot of PC culture. There's a lot of safe space comedy. There's a lot of you quote unquote you can't talk about this, and a lot of unfunny, edgy comedians saying, "Oh, I should be allowed to make a joke about anything," when the reality is they're just saying horrific things. And it sounds like you were trying.
As well as yes,
yeah,
definitely. I can see, yeah, but and there's something in that, I suppose. What is the stage? I think you should be not allowed, but it's okay. You can think anything you like in your mind.
Thanks.
One, I mean,
permission.
Not you.
Yeah. You've heard what I think.
We have heard what you. I'm sick of your thoughts. No, one. But what is more interesting is what you can say in front of other people. That big spectrum. That's a more real freedom than the freedom of thought. So I was interested in that. And of course, is it funny? Is it not? So, but in those sort of in taboo areas, there are laughs. Don't go away. There's also massive offence, but it's like can't make an omelette sort of thing without smashing loads of eggs. Anyway, so there was a period of just trying to be offensive, just trying to be offensive for its own sake, to offend everyone. Not racist, particularly, or sexist or anything, but just offensive, like to make people go, oh, a bit. I remember the first time, and partly who's playing is Jerry Sadowitz. Very early on, I was at the Comedy Store. I don't think I was doing a gig. I think I'd gone down there to see if I could get an open spot, and there'd been several acts on, and there'd been an American comic on. He'd gone quite well. And I maybe laughed a couple of times. Like, it's good, isn't it? He's good. And then Jerry Sadowitz comes on and goes, "Hey, fucking American comics like," and names the bloke. Right? Mm-hmm. And then he goes, they come over here and they say things like, "Have you ever noticed how blind people can't do crosswords?" And then from then on, he was telling jokes that were so fast and so offensive that there were different waves of sound crisscrossing the audience. I'd never heard anything like it. Like there were some people laughing at that joke, other people going at the one before, and it was I thought like watching the Sex Pistols, I imagined. But I thought, there's a whole bit that hasn't been explored of what can be done in that sort of area. So I was a big fan of him for a bit. I didn't go and see him anymore. Once was enough. But
forever.
I think I saw one more gig a few years ago. I got his album, the Gobshite, I think it was called, the record, and I went to see him another gig. But by then he was sort of famous for being offensive, and he got kind of hoisted by his own petard, I thought, in that it meant people would come along to be offended. That means he had to up the ante and be even more offensive. I mean, I'd never heard of him. I didn't know anything about him when I first saw him. It was amazing. When you know he's going to be offensive, it just doesn't work quite well. But he's still going, so God bless him. Good luck to him.
I mean, so I know a lot of comedians who are known for something. So like they're a character, like Al Murray, for example, he's known as that character, and so he can't break away. Stuart Lee, for example, struggles a lot to break away from what he is. Character. Yeah, he had to sort of put a mask on, and then the bacon face thing, and immediately everyone was like, "But that's just Stu with bacon." you haven't done much work here, but
you put a mask on. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, nice try. So did you ever feel pigeonholed? Did you ever feel like when people booked you, they were like, "We're expecting you to do this set or this set of jokes"?
To be honest, so then after God Jesus, I was the security guard. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a very specific act, deadpan, jokes about security.
Yeah.
So I was booked for that. I'd have the security guard costume, just very much. And then started doing Alan Parker and Moyer, loose, we're not anarchists, very different. So I'd be booked for one or the other. So I didn't feel pigeonholed that way. I just made my own. I made my own pigeonholes, and then you could select which one you wanted, I suppose.
When you started, there were character comedians you looked up to, or that you felt like, because everyone when they start now, you kind of see elements of their favourite comedians in their act. And I wonder whether at what point you realised maybe you've sort of broken away from maybe the people you liked, or.
Don't know. I mean, the deadpan thing was very much from Ted Chippington.
Right.
It was, more than we realised. I never thought constantly, I'm going to ape Ted Chippington. But there was something about his voice found its way into. So I suppose Jo Brand as well, when she was the sea monster. Something about the deadpan thing. But there's other people as well. Michael Redmond was a bit deadpan-y. There was a sort of, deadpan. I don't know. No one invented, or someone invented it. But yeah, people did. I liked that and wanted to do that. But I also wanted to do other things eventually. So. What was the question?
Just asked how you were.
Yeah, fine.
No, because from talking to people who started around the same time you started, there were obviously a lot less people on the circuit, and obviously there was a lot less gigs, but it felt like that meant if you did something different to what most people were doing, you stood out a lot more than you could do now. And as a result, I'm thinking if there are a lot of people doing deadpan, or if there are a number of people doing deadpan and you did that, I wonder whether that slowed you down getting gigs, or whether there were just enough that you could make it work, or...
I have no idea about that. Like, I got gigs went well, I got another gig, got an agent, did any gig, rang up, got open spots, did gigs, got paid 20, did that, half spot, full spot, regular, like the Chuckle Club and the Red Rose, and there was a bit of a thing where I changed from being the security guard to doing. I sort of stopped doing the security guard, sort of. But can I do my new character, Alan Parker? And the thing about Alan Parker, to begin with, it would only work 1 in 3 times. I think at some places I did open spots again, going. But it took several years before it worked, more consistently. But even then, occasionally, people would just think it was real and not recognise it. But there we go. That's occupational hazard. Sorry, did it affect how many gigs? I can't tell how it affected how many gigs I got. I just wouldn't be able to work that out.
How did you have a day job when you first started?
Not really. I mean, after college, I did several jobs just to pay off my debt, sort of thing. But not a serious one. So just, worked as a temp and dustman. But as part of temping, actually. Like wherever I could type. So some days I'd be typing, other days if they've got a dustman short, I'd do that.
How long did it take you to be full-time as a comedian?
And then I went on the Enterprise Allowance scheme.
This really helped a lot of people.
Because you didn't have to start. In fact, I became unemployed in order to get on that.
Yeah.
So I would just
do
jobs. But it was just, so you get 40 quid a week. It's not,
No, but it's
but
enough.
You don't have to go and waste your time signing on. You're free, and you can, ring up people and try and get gigs, and but you're basically covered. I think it's a really nice. I quite like whoever idea it was for just a. Universal minimum wage, just pay everyone some money so they don't have to worry. Just get all that worry gone, then would the world be a better place?
Yeah, I don't quite know how that would work in practicality, but I like it as a theory.
Why don't, it would just work, everyone gets paid some money.
Because where does all the money come from?
Well, where does it come from anyway?
That's what I mean. Like, I don't understand enough about it to make...
Okay.
Like, if someone says to me, we're all going to get 10 grand a year...
Quantitative easing at the moment, they're pumping billions.
Oh, yeah, I know that, and that's all dreamed up.
If instead of pumping it there to the banks, on the hope that the banks will then lend it out, what are you doing exactly?
Yeah.
If you just just put just a huge, big, not big, just a little safety net for everyone. And the sort of the idea, the welfare state or unemployment, they've made it harder and harder. There's more and more hoops to jump through. Together, I think, just from my experience, for the year I was on that, that helped me a lot. I didn't have to worry about anything except, doing shows and trying to get work, to pursue what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I was pursuing it.
Yeah.
And you're free to do that without having to go and explain yourself every few hours.
I remember when I started, I did Logan Murray's course, this was sort of 8-9 years ago, and he told me about the Enterprise Allowance scheme, and it keeps coming up, the amount of people that sort of just helped support, like a safety net.
Not just comedians, I think artists, musicians, those people. It's just a safety. But I think it should be a universal thing. This whole idea of...
It doesn't exist anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
The whole idea of forcing you into menial work. Also, it means there's more people, menial work should be slightly higher paid because it's so menial. That's what I'd say. And by forcing people who don't really want to do it, you deflate wages in the menial work sector. That's my view.
No, I get it.
Free money for everyone.
See, now we're talking. I can understand how that would work.
Free money for everyone.
But a minimum amount of free money. No, I want it to just be...
Maximum.
I just want to go to a cash machine and be like, I'll have $5,000, please.
Yeah. No, enough to live on. So you don't have to worry. Then there'll be less mental health problems, less burden on the NHS. What about the immigrants? Well... Sorry,
let's move on.
I knew you were going to ask about the immigrants.
I'm going to let you... that's all I talk about on this podcast. Is we talk about how we're going to solve Brexit.
Let them in. That's what I say.
Well, let's...
Because you can't stop them.
Okay. Mental health problems.
Long coastline, see?
We're on
3 ships. We've got 3 ships. You can't stop people coming in.
It's a shame. We don't have enough. If only they forced them into Coast Guard work, then they could stop them all coming in.
That's it. Illegal immigrants, they come in, we turn them into Coast Guards.
And they stop anyone else coming.
That's right.
That's the...
Brilliant.
You listen, Teresa?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I don't think it'll be Teresa by the time this goes out.
No. I'm surprised it's her now. Right. Let's talk about... So you mentioned mental health problems and stuff like that in that area. I'm wondering whether you ever had imposter syndrome when you first started out.
When I first started out?
Or even now, whether you've ever had it.
It's more likely, I don't know about now, but yeah, what am I doing? What do you mean? I shouldn't be here, or I don't...
Whether you've ever felt like
an imposter.
You're going to get found out, or that you're other people are better than you and you're just sort of in the room somehow.
Yeah, I think that happens. You feel like that every so often, but it's a cloud that passes. But actually a gig is kind of like that anyway. It's like, it needn't necessarily, however, you're only as good as your last gig. There's that particular idea. But when you go on stage, it may not work.
Yeah.
So that's a classic sort of imposter syndrome thing. And anything you rely on. I always think of it as your back pocket joke. Joke's going to get you out of jail. It's not going very well. I'll just reach for that. By the time you reach for that, it's too late and it's turned to sand. It's just nothing. So I suppose it's an occupation that is prone to imposter syndrome. The act of being on stage is kind of like, and even if it goes well, did it?
Yeah. Because this is the thing I've been thinking about, is you could get really big laughs, right? But they might not be for the reason. I'll tell you the secret. I've just worked it out. What? No, but you could get really big laughs, but it could be for not the reason why you think they're laughing. If you were doing a character or you were saying something...
That's why I think it pays not to inquire too much about that. You maybe get a sense about it, but I mean, the famous John Cleese got psychoanalysed and then ceased to be amusing. I mean... So that's the story I heard. I'm not sure it's quite true. There's something about the more you look in, and analysis isn't it? Like the comic instinct, you should sort of, does that work? But that's what comedians talk. Does it work? Not why is it funny? Is it funny? And I'd sort of distinguish between jokes, like material. That's a funny thing, but it's all in the delivery and the context, and clowning. And clowning is more like inviting people to laugh at you, so it's straight down through the full line, not material. So clowning is not about, but both those strands are sort of incorporated and amalgamated somehow in a stand-up comedy form. So yeah, are they laughing at me or with me? A laugh's a laugh. I don't know. I don't think it matters so much. I like clowning, and I like a nice joke, and I like a nice thing, but and somehow perhaps you can combine them. It can be very unpleasant if people are laughing directly at you. One of my worst experiences on stage was, it might have been Preston, it might have been Liverpool Poly, but anyway, we arrived. It was on the National Comedy Network infinitely long tour, and we'd been on the road for a week or 2 weeks, just hired 2 of us, 3 of us. The Ents manager of that particular college had left, and the new Ents manager didn't know there was a gig on, so there were no posters, there's no advertising, there's no venue, there's nothing. And we're thinking, well, result, we get our B&B, you got £10 tonight towards your B&B, and you're meant to get a meal and quality lager. That was always on there. Whatever, they didn't say what sort of quality. And but the Ents manager didn't just, okay, it's cancelled, so we'd call that a 1-0 away win. He went, no, we're going to put the gig on. So he put it on in the bar.
The dream situation.
The dream situation at the bar. The rugby club had won or lost, one of the two. And
I did say there was a football match on.
It is.
I wasn't lying.
No, not in London. That's Cardiff, Chelsea. That's in Cardiff.
Oh, it might be a different one then.
He had anyway. They built this stage out of some tables, coffee tables.
Can I just say, I love how she's turned the volume off but left the game on, as if we might still want to know the score.
Oh, everyone does. It's very important.
We'll keep you updated on the score, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's 0-0.
0-0 with 11 minutes.
If Cardiff lose this, they're probably relegated. If Chelsea lose this, they won't.
My audience are very hot on football. I'm sure I mean, this is going out after the game, so they will know the score. But I think we should definitely keep them up to date.
So they built the stage out of metal coffee tables, and they put some lights in. Anyway, the audience, there weren't an audience, there were people at the bar. It was a terrible gig, but as in just a wall of noise. And then and the lights were really bright, and you couldn't really see properly from on the stage. And at one point I slipped off the coffee table stage onto another coffee table, which was metal, and just took the front layer of my shin off. Right? And that got a massive laugh. And I remember lying there bleeding on the floor while people were pissing themselves laughing, thinking, yeah.
Not sure why I started doing this job.
Yes, maybe, yeah, it's not so nice feeling.
Yeah.
Well, most gigs are nice.
So how do you help the cloud of imposter syndrome move on? What's your tactic when that happens?
I would just pass.
You just ride it out.
Think about something else. Go on with something. Do something. Talk to someone. I don't know. It's not something I'm prone to. I think I know what you mean. What am I doing here? I suppose I'm not that comfortable in groups or even in any sort of company. I'm quite happy with my own, really. I like a bit of company, but that'll do. Don't expect too much. If you, it's always the thing about what do I look like. People look in the mirror. What do I look like? Concerned about their appearance or what other people think of them, but they never think, oh, look, those other people might be worrying what other people think of them. It's like a hall of mirrors. Move on. Look at that. Just change your focus. Don't worry about yourself. Be if you can. It doesn't help saying don't do something. But
so I'm guessing outside of character work, you don't necessarily, like when you go up as as Simon, you don't think what do I need to wear on stage. It's kind of, if I'm a character, I have with the security officer, I have a costume. But when it's you don't think I need to look a certain way.
I tend not to. Although for the Wreath show I'm currently doing, I've got a sort of bit like a cowboy hat, and I wear my coat, this coat, which looks, I like to think, sort of American Civil War, Confederate, a bit, so sort of slightly cowboy look, but that's because I come on, I've got a whole opening based on Bob Dylan's Knocking on Heaven's Door, which is about Billy the Kid dying, but it works for me. But anyway, so that has a certain look, but after that, it's whatever I'm wearing, really. That's my costume. I
just know a lot of comedians have a look or have a vibe or even a uniform, if you like.
Milton Jones always used to very specifically had to have a tank top. But I don't think he needs it. Don't think anyone needs it. Generally, I've had specific things, and then I've forgotten my lucky plimsoll, and you do it at a show anyway. So you didn't need it, and I've done the same with props as well. You don't need it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a good thing to get hung up on one particular thing.
Well, you mentioned that you got an agent quite early on.
Mm-hmm.
How did you decide to go with that agent? Are you still with the same agent?
I've left now.
Oh, okay. So how did you decide to go with that agent originally, and why did you leave in the end?
After the Footlights tour, I did the Footlights show, which is various, part of the idea that I think it's agents come and pick you up. And several agents I had meetings with. One, I went in for a meeting, he said, we'd like you to sign for this. And I said, well, yeah, and what would you do for me? Well, you might want to write for Tracy Ullman. That's the last thing I want to do in my life. Thanks, no. The one I went with was the one who said, I'll get you gigs.
Okay. Live work.
Yeah, I'll get you gigs. Yeah. We take 15% to begin with, but that'll be going down to 10% in the future. It never went down.
Is that why you left?
No, that isn't why I left. I left because I was scared to leave.
What?
No, after a while, I thought, no, I'm scared to leave because of all the stories I've heard of other people who left. So I don't want to live in fear. So, and they were getting me no work, but that is
there it is.
That's a complaint you can't have against all agents.
Yeah,
you're not getting enough work. Everyone says that, but it was like, oh no, I'm sort of living with this fear of leaving. So let's confront that fear and get over it. So that's the agent I went with, who said he'd get me live work, and he did. So God bless him, thank him for that. Because that was the thing I felt most, hello, can I have a gig? When someone gets you gigs, that's what I like an agent to do, get you work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long were you without? Are you still without an agent? Like since you left?
I've got an agent.
You got another one now. So how long were you without an agent?
Probably a couple of years.
And then.
Sorry, just a quick question. Do you know how long you're going to be? Because we're going to have to put the volume up for the football.
We could go outside.
Yeah. Can we go? Can we go somewhere else?
We could go outside.
Hey gang, while past Simon and myself are moved from the pub to allow the footballers to watch their beautiful game, here's a quick advert for you to enjoy. Some of you got an ad, some of you didn't. If you did get an ad, congratulations. If you didn't get an ad, well done. I don't know what that is about. While we're advertising things, Simon and I are going to the Edinburgh Festival with two completely separate shows. Simon's I don't still have the name for, so I'm going to put a link in the show notes, but I know it's at the stand. As he will mention in the next part, he has been there for a number of years, so it's definitely at the stand, and it's definitely at 7 o'clock. Just search for Simon Munnery Edinburgh Fringe. I'm doing a full run at the Edinburgh Fringe, and my show that I didn't retitle after Simon pulled it apart at the start of the episode is called Every Room Becomes a Panic Room When You Overthink Enough. If you have a look in the show notes, you'll see there is a link there. It'd be amazing if you could come and see that, or support him and go and see his show, or go see both. That'd be even better. I remember I was sort of in the edit, and he mentioned that he's bad at emails and admin and hates screens. So while we're moving places, I'll quickly tell you a little bit of a backstory of how this podcast came about. Originally, me and him met up, and I emailed him in 2016, and he never replied, but we kept bumping into each other at gigs and talking about it. And then in January of 2019, I bumped into him, and he said, do email me, I'll definitely do it. And so I emailed him again and asked him to come on, and he replied to my 2016 email with the opening line, "Hey Simon, sorry about the delay," which I thought was just a touch of class. I thought that was amazingly great, because he could have very easily have replied in the other one with the same message, but it just wouldn't have had the same gravitas. And I wanted to share that with you because it's just fun as a story for me. So just a heads up, there is still a little bit of background noise to where we moved to, but there isn't really as much, which is better, I suppose, isn't it, really, for an audio medium? Now we can jump back in the pod. I'm pretty sure past Simon and myself have moved into the beer garden now.
Cardiff are playing Chelsea, and if Chelsea win, that wouldn't be surprising.
We've been moved outside, so if you hear birds and things...
Planes flying over, we're in Luton.
I'd be very surprised if you hear birds. Planes is more likely. Although we could do that. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's
both.
It's both. Technically they're planes. Yeah. They're birds. No, they're not. Right, let's... I've forgotten where we're at, so I'm just going to jump back into where I found my questions. So you once did a whole sort of bit about a review you got where you were in a Venn diagram trying to describe what they said that your work was like. And I remember that you said it was unfunny comedy or shit art.
No, that wasn't... The review didn't say that.
Oh, no, you said that.
I said that,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I'm wondering... I don't want to ask you about that bit, but I want to ask you whether you value reviewers or whether you think that they actually help or hinder comedy.
I try not to read reviews, particularly during like Edinburgh. I studiously try and avoid it. I might look. Well, unfortunately, at the stand they have not unfortunately. I mean, for good reasons, they have a board outside with reviews written on it, and maybe they help get people in. So but I think they only put up the good ones. But so maybe you count up the stars, but I don't I don't read it. Sometimes afterwards I read it. I don't think, do I agree with that or disagree? Anyway, that's your opinion. I try not to worry about it. The reviews.
I mean, last year someone sent me, this was at the end of the Fringe, someone sent me a link, and I've been avoiding reviews, and they said, have you seen this? And, this was 2016, and it was a 2-star review, and I was like, even if I have seen it, why are you sending me this? Like, I don't need this at the end of the run. This is not helping. I appreciate that, you might have been like, you might want to be aware of this. I assume then, do you ever take Twitter criticism or social media reviews on board? Do you avoid social media?
I avoid social, but not for that reason. It's just I come from a time before that, and do you need it? Probably I should be on social media more. I have just started a friend just set up Alan Parker Twitter account, which I'm going to use, but I'm thinking how to do that or what to do about it. I think I've done one tweet just to see if it worked, but now I've got to think of what Alan Parker would do. That's for Edinburgh this year, but generally, no, I value my free time. I've got 3 daughters, and they're on their social media the whole time, and I see their faces before and afterwards, and I don't think it does you any good.
Do you think you've got a good work-life balance?
Yeah.
That's a no.
I don't know. No, one of the two, but a bit of both. Yeah, I like. It's nice to see the sky, isn't it? And do things, make things. Rather, yeah. No, I haven't got much desire to be on social media, so I have got a Facebook thing, but I haven't looked at for years now, for at least a year. I should go back on that and do that. Email, phone, text. That's the sort of thing I respond to, but even then, quite slowly. I'm terrible at it. When I was between the ages of 13 and 16, I used to be a computer programmer and used to write games for a company in Liverpool, and I spent a lot of time screen. But about the age of 16, 17, I just got sick of screens and logic and typing, and ever since then I've been kind of increasingly screen averse. So I check my emails. I've always got a backlog, and it's kind of like a chore that I'd rather do. I'd rather wash up, hoover the house than answer an email. But then you have to, so you do. But it's like guilt or shame. They've got there must be loads of things I just haven't done, sort of stacked up behind me, and you think, well, forget about it. If it's that important, something would have happened by now.
You don't have like a FOMO, like a fear of missing out or anything like that?
No, I don't think I've got a fear of missing out. Okay. No, none at all.
No, it's a lot of my friends who are younger than me in this industry. I've got this sort of I don't know what I want everything. I don't know what that was. Oh. We just come outside to get away from noise, and they're so weird.
That's all right. We're
wait for that.
It's fine. How awkward.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, so I don't even know when it will stop. It's that thing there, but I don't know what it is.
That's some sort of aircon device.
Because it is picking up that low hum.
Well, maybe me. I might. Humming's dropped out of popularity, and back in the 80s, a lot of acts used to come on and hum.
I don't know. I tell you what I've noticed I do recently. I start. It's the most arsehole thing I do, and I've only just realised how badly I do it. I will sing or whistle when I'm in group, around large groups of people, like when I'm walking and stuff like that, because if they don't know I'm behind them, they don't move out of the way. So if I'm power walking, I'll sing. Yeah, I'll sing really loudly so they know. Oh shit, there's someone moving really fast behind me, so they move out of the way.
What do you sing?
Whatever's on my headphones.
I
just chuck in some music and I just start singing whatever it is. Heaven is a Place on Earth is a personal favourite because you look like a nut job, and they probably genuinely on Oxford Street. I did it the other day because I was getting somewhere to a gig, and they just moved. Everyone moved.
Belinda Carlisle.
Yeah, Belinda Carlisle.
You make heaven is a place on earth.
Just power
walking, charging through people.
Yeah, just out
with
of the way.
With your earphones on.
Yeah, with my earphones on. Because what they're going to do.
That's another thing. I don't put earphones. I don't listen to music.
Oh, okay.
As a rule.
What do you do on a night off?
Bury the goats.
Bury
the
hecklers.
Stand outside, look at the stars, teach my children maths, trying to get the Guardian on Saturdays, and for the puzzles, for me personally, the puzzle section in the back now. I work one by one. I work through the puzzles with my daughters. They don't like it. Play chess. I get them to play chess with them. Anything other than I don't know, but the thing of listening to me earphones, really, I rarely do that. I've noticed. I could do it. I could have it. I've got a phone. I've got music on it. I listen to Radio 4 sometimes, Radio 3, the World Service, that sort of thing.
It feels like you've successfully managed to disconnect from the internet, or you can, without getting that, like I was saying, that fear of missing out that I think a lot of people have these days. Because you think, if I don't reply to that email quick enough, I might not get that gig, or I might not get seen by that person.
I probably lose out on some gigs. But often I find the ones where it's, we've got a cancellation. Often, what's it? They're called Nottingham-based people. Who are they? Ones in Nottingham.
Not people.
Daryl.
Daryl Martin.
Yeah, what are they called? Those?
Oh, Just a Tonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be like, I don't know, like, I'm an hour late or 2 hours late with my reply. I never get those gigs. So can't be bothered.
It's quite a way to. You're at Bedford, so I suppose it's not too far.
They got one in Camden. The only one he booked me for one in Camden. I got there, it was cancelled. The stage manager got ill. I thought it's not enough to cancel the gig, is it? But anyway.
No. Okay, well, there's two questions that come out of what you just said. When you were younger, you wrote an NME column for Alan Parker.
Yep.
And I wondered how that came about. Whether you enjoyed writing. Oh, go on, sorry.
No, God, I do not remember how that came about. I was doing the character.
Yep.
Someone must have asked me, or probably through my agent at the time.
Yeah.
But I have no idea how that came about. Oh, what's his name? Chris Collins. He was my immediate contact. Is it Chris Collins? What's his bloody name? I still remember his face. I can't. Collins, maybe not Chris. Andrew Collins.
Oh, Andrew Collins. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That's a person.
He worked at NME. He asked me to do it. I'm fairly certain that's how it came about. How he came to decide to ask me to do it, I have no idea. Did I enjoy doing it? It was a bit of, good discipline. Got to write something every week for this. And I got some jokes out of it that became part of Alan Parker's set. Enjoyed doing it. But when you have to write something, deadlines, there's a sort of feeling about that. But glad I did it a long time ago.
Well, no, I was actually going to ask, did you like moving the medium from live to written? Like, was that easy as a process?
When you write something, it is a transcription of your voice. That's really what it is. So it's more or less sort of speaking as that character, Alan Parker, and writing down that. So it's sort of the same, really. Well,
no, because and the other thing I was going to ask you about is I did look into your past jobs before you sort of were in comedy, and I looked and saw you were a video games programmer.
Yeah.
And I wondered whether that had an impact in you starting to make props or make. Oh, I get stop. It would stop as I've just adjusted all the levels for this. So yeah, whether that had an impact on you being very DIY in terms of props and prop comedy.
I've always been very. I like making things. When I was a child, I used to like taking things apart and putting them back together again. Always quite interested in how things worked. Computer programmer has that. It's more like there's probably the two results of the same cause, a sort of desire to make things. I think it's human. Make things. I like think of something, and how do you, and then something perhaps it's a little bit impossible. How do I do it? Break it down to smaller problems and solve it. That kind of problem solving, I suppose. I don't know if I've always been like that, but I've certainly been like that for quite a long time. I like making things.
Given you've done like prop and character comedy quite a bit, are there any areas of comedy that you would like to be better at that you think you'd not be as good at?
I've done a bit of clowning, but I'd like to do more of that. That would be one area, I suppose. Yeah. Clowning, just straight down the line. Clowning, haven't done enough of that. Haven't been in a double act for a long time. That would be fun. Areas of comedy. I mean, you say the word comedy, but it's just sort of one field of theatre, isn't it? Really. No, I'm quite happy.
Okay.
Doing what I do.
Do you think you're famous?
No, I don't think I am.
Are you?
Am I? When just doing a tour, and about most venues, somewhere between 80, 160 come. Is that famous? And actually, in my show, the current show, The Wreath, very good. When I was cleaning the chicken factory, a woman said, "I hear you used to be famous." And I do the anecdote about one time in Camden Town in a nightclub, I nearly got beaten up for being famous, but I got out of it because I wasn't. Which is, that happened. So no, I don't. Famous. Yes, some people. To some people I'm famous, but very few people. So I can certainly walk down the street. Well,
depends on the street.
Unstopped. Except by beggars and the police. So no, not famous.
Okay, and have you ever wanted to be? Because I know you've worked with people who are on the face of it a lot better known than you. Have you ever wanted to be like really famous?
No. No. Well, I'll just give you an example why. I was friends with Mark Lamar, used to go out quite a lot. And then he was on The Word and quite famous. Then, massively famous, as in on Channel 4, whatever it was. It was me, Incognito, Mark Lamar, I think. And we were in a car, and then we come to this pub, and then he couldn't go in for a drink because someone would beat him up or would want to challenge him to a fight. He couldn't go out, So it never seemed to me that much of an advantage. I would like to be more famous in the sense I'd like 200 people at my gig rather than 140. But, that's all right. Or I'd like a better split. Either way, I'd like to earn more. I have 3 daughters. I'd like to earn more, but
you could just charge your existing audience slightly more.
Again, I don't think that would work either. Yeah, that's true. I like a low ticket price. I think it's nice people just come. There's always a good thing about comedy. It was quite cheap. It's kind of egalitarian art form, if it is that, and I think it is. But no desire to. But yeah, should probably go to some effort. Twitter, Facebook, pump out YouTube videos. Should be doing that. But I'm kind of a fatalist, I suppose. Let's just see what happens. Something may turn up.
Could you put a lot of time and effort into making props, and the shows are very, or in certain shows they're very, they've got a lot to them that you put a lot of time and effort in behind the scenes, and there's a lot of money that's gone into that. So I just wondered whether you're limited in the intimacy of the shows is what a lot of people I feel would enjoy, much like Stuart Lee were talking about before, where he doesn't want to do like an arena. He'd rather do 3 months at the Leicester Square Theatre, for example, because
I think it's right about that.
I completely agree, but I'm just wondering whether you've limited yourself to a smaller audience, and then whether you've hurt your profitability by being so creative.
It's not for me to judge, really. I just do what I do, and I've got away with it so far. That's how it feels to me. I quite like where I am. I wish there were more people coming, slightly, but the ones that come are lovely. Absolutely, the most wonderful audiences. So, very happy with that. Just wish I earned more, but who doesn't?
Completely. Do you prefer doing clubs or solo shows?
I love doing my solo shows. There's this tour recently. I don't nothing against doing a club. Although headlining is or going on last, I call it. I just like to get out. Normally I get out, I do the gig, and if I can, I get home. I'm no particular fan of being on last. Also means kind of the audience are tired. I remember some gig in Camden. It was just jammed, and they go, "Oh, it's really jammed." Yeah, but these people can't breathe. They're all sort of nodding off out of lack of oxygen. I've got to go on after everyone else. It's just, the laughter's all gone. It's harder. First is the best place. Go on first. Get it over with. I reckon.
For clubs.
I don't mind. I love it. Yeah. It's nice to do a gig. Get out of the house.
Yeah, I enjoy certain clubs, but then there are some of them that I just go, I just want to get through the set because the audience are a bit of either rowdy or dicks, and you just go, I don't know. Are you able at this point to, because of the money you get from solo work, to pick which clubs you do, or
no? I take wherever work comes in.
Okay,
I
you hear that, everyone? Just email him.
Any work? Yeah, I do. If someone offers you a gig, why wouldn't you do it? That's why I think. all right, extreme example. What if it was the National Front or whatever? EDF,
they're big on this podcast. They do listen.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, I'm available, but really expensive.
If you've got 200 people, I'll definitely come.
Yeah. I know. So it's you do your stuff to whoever's there, and you try and create some sort of bond between you, maybe. There are some gigs. I did 3 nights in Oman recently, and I had the worst gig I've had in, it must be a decade. I don't know, just got off on the wrong foot, stayed there, got worse and worse. They hated me, and perhaps as a consequence I hated them. It's just, agony. And I always feel when you've had a really bad gig, it doesn't happen very often, but when you've had a really bad gig, it's just kind of trapped in that room. You're like a ghost. You just can't leave that room until everyone else has left, or even then it just sort of stays with you till the next gig. Like the next day I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And the next gig, of course, was brilliant. Well, it seemed brilliant in
comparison. Yeah.
It's also if the converse of that. If you have a really good gig, the next gig's going to be shit.
Oh, completely.
There's that rhythm. So maybe what you're aiming for, I think that is the rhythm of life anyways. Ups and downs. You don't really get to choose, with your ups. It's either ups and downs or, very slight ups and downs. That perhaps you have some choice over.
I did a DVD record 2 weeks ago, and the gig the night before was fucking awful. So, like, in my head,
brilliant preparation.
I was like, oh yeah, like I literally texted my friend on the way home, going, that just went really badly, and they were like, are you all right? And I went, you have no idea how much I needed that. Because now I know that A, I'm going to work harder, and B, like, however that goes, it's not going to be as bad as that. Yeah,
it's like also when you try out a new bit of material. It kind of works because you don't know.
Yeah.
And then the next time you try it, it works, so it doesn't.
Yeah. There's that. Is it frisance in the air where it's like sort of.
Frisance. Is
that the right word? It's there's this vibe in the air of we're all trying, like, especially in a new material night. There's this sort of, you all kind of know that we're all trying something here, and we're having a flavour of it. It's not.
There's something false about the new material night. I was in Every Other Monday co-op for a long time, but there's something odd, that atmosphere, because people overuse the that didn't work, did it? Joke. So that currency gets worn out very quickly. And I think as a sort of rule among new material nights is you should never comment on the fact that it went wrong, because that can easily be overused. Like the first 2 people can overuse that, and then no one else can do it. I suppose that's fair. Best not to. Just get on with it.
I used to do that, and now what I do is I always just sort of act like not. I once did, and I regretted it. I once did. Oh, that did well on Twitter. You guys clearly are. You've all seen it there or something like that. And I felt quite bad about that afterwards, because I was a bit like, seems like a weirdly arrogant kind of. Oh, you've already heard the joke sort of moment.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
Oh, right. You assume.
No, I didn't assume that. I just tried not to say it was. That didn't work. So I just came up with an excuse off the cuff to say to them, "Oh, you've probably all just seen it on Twitter. That's why that didn't work." I didn't actually believe that. So I didn't think all that room followed me on Twitter.
It isn't. I think you, as a comic, you kind of overestimate. Like, you thought that was funny. The fact that they didn't doesn't matter. Right, the nice way to look at it is they're saving their laughs up for later. right. I've had routines that, there was various laugh points in it that I'm familiar with, and yet, that bit didn't get a laugh, that didn't get a laugh. It's all right, big laugh at the end.
Yeah.
Relax, calm down, don't worry about it. Everything will be fine.
There's that phrase, I can't remember, I don't even know if anyone actually owns it or has said it or whatever, but there's a thing where they say in clubs you need to get a laugh every 10 seconds.
Really?
Yeah. That was something that was floating around a lot when I did Logan Murray's course. Right. It's like if you're not being as punchy as that, you're not doing your job as a comic.
No, not at all. I completely disagree with that. I mean, there is that pressure. Like, there used to be like jongleurs, and people end up in a certain sort of rhythm as well. Yeah. Possibly for that reason. It's got to be bang, 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 bang. No, you watch someone like John Hegley, who will be hilarious, but also do a serious poem, a comedy gig, a club gig, and they will like sit, listen, and it's fine. There are people in a room. They don't need, and you're on a hiding to nothing as well. Like bang, 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 joke. Too much, bit of light and shade, bit of something else, bit of content, a bit of heart, a bit of soul. those sort of things.
It's why I prefer doing solo shows. I think you can put more heart into those, and you can put more.
You've got more space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, you can. More control, I suppose. But yeah, from an audience point of view, it's nice to have a variety of things, one act after another. Compare. It ain't broke, don't fix it. As a system.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to rework the system right now.
Solo shows only.
Well, you write a lot of one-liners that are quoted by a lot of people, like sort of just sort of.
Okay.
No.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know a lot of people.
Okay, fine.
But yeah, all right, I'll accept that.
Okay, but you've never sort of won like a best joke of the Fringe or any of those sort of awards.
I came 7th.
Did you? I looked it up. I didn't see that.
It's 1 year. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
Which joke was it?
It was this clown's divorce custody battle.
Nice.
Thank you. Well, I honed that joke over 4 performances during the same gig at McCundless Conference. It was a late night.
Just kept saying it.
I was on officially once.
Yeah.
But then I came off. I did it once, and it was quite rambly. It was like, I got some friends. They got divorced. They were clowns, and there was a custody. It was sort of like that. And then, but anyway, I did it 4 times. I said, "Can I come back? Can I have another go at that joke?" Each time for less laughs. But I honed it down to 4 words: clown's divorce, custody battle, and on the last couple of days of Edinburgh Festival, I was. Sitting in St Andrew's Square and with a load of flyers. I decided to flyer my own show, which I hadn't done for years, but I thought, I'm probably afraid of that, so let's go over that fear and let's just do it. There was no one in the square. I was the only person there, or one other person, and there was just no one to flyer.
They might have been all scared of your flying.
Yes, they'd had the same thought. We don't want to be flyed, so we're just waiting for people to turn up. But I'm ready. Got my flyers, and my stage manager came up and said, "Hey Simon, do you know one of your jokes in your show has been voted the 7th best joke in the Edinburgh Fringe by Dave." TV channel.
Oh, just
no.
Dave.
Dave.
We all know Dave.
If only it was. Oh, Dave. Anyway,
I wish I was called Dave. I'd just start a list. I'd be like, Dave's jokes.
Which joke was it? And it was like, right. That's my in. Yeah. So I've just got a marker pen and wrote on featuring 7th best joke of the Fringe according to Dave Jones. So that gave me in flying. And by the way, it does feature the 7th best. Yeah. And then I performed the joke and off to the next one. So that was my flying technique. That was fun. The first three tall men, very well dressed, walked up to the bar, and I thought, right, I don't like the look of them. I'm going to go and fly them, despite the fact I don't like them. So where have you come from? Oh, St Andrews. I went, golf. He went, yes, golf. And they were Scottish. And after a while, just chatting, would you be interested in coming to see a Fringe show? No. Okay. Well, it's hard. I realise it'd be hard work. They didn't look like the sort of people who'd go anyway. Tall, posh, golf playing. Are you Tories? And they went, yes. I went, I found them. Get the nets. Oh, I had fun. But they didn't come, obviously. I don't know whether I was an effective flyer, but I'm glad I did it. It's good to overcome your fear. If you're scared of doing something, do it. And then, it's not
I was going to say, hang on, let's put a limit on that.
Shooting children, no. But as a general rule, there's something in that. If you notice that you're scared of doing something, then overcome that fear by doing it.
Is that how you pick your next project?
No. What am I scared of? No, it's just if in life, like I say, how I left my previous agent was, I'm scared to leave. Well, this has gone on for several years. I'm living under fear. Better not, it's good to not live in fear as much as you can. Obviously, there's nuclear war and climate change and whatever else. But if there's a specific thing that is clouding your life with fear, then do something about it, I think.
What are you scared of now, then?
You.
This interview.
What am I scared of now? Yeah, no. Then if there was something, I'd do something about it. I think. What am I scared of? Oh, just dying. Having never.
You mean in
achieved.
Life, not on stage?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. Just
straightforward death. Yeah. As you get older, people die all around you. So life is a bit like. It's like the First World War, but slower. Right. It's like the school bell rings and we all get out of the trench and start marching across no man's land, and one by one, but slower, you know what I mean? One by one, whoa, Jimmy's gone. And it's obviously at some point it's going to dawn on you that at some point you're going to
You're going to be the last one, yeah.
Well, not the last one.
Well, no, that means you're the only target left.
I suppose that's how the First World War worked. But just at some point we're all going to go. Yeah. What is it? I think the fear of death is there's something I should have done. It's a bit like having an email backlog. There's something. What was it? I think quite often people, as they come towards death, try and sort things out as much as possible. And I haven't even tidied my shed. That's something I put off things. Anyway, I've had a life-work balance. I've had a lot of life, a lot of just time not to do much.
So you do have some fear of missing out, but it's just only when you think about death.
I mean, when you fear of missing out what? What I mean, like I've been to parties, thanks. I've had sex, loads. Not lately. Well,
I was going to say, could you stop doing that?
No, yeah. Right, you can go now. Yeah. What? Oh, I'd like to have ridden across Spain on a horse, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's not much things like that.
Are there any professional things you wish you had done or could do? Like being on a panel show or running anything like that?
I did one better. I was in Australia, did Good News Week, which is their sort of have I got news for you equivalent. And I was hilarious in the dressing room, in the green room, like just. But when it came to it, actually the thing was, look at this image, say something about it. And I'd not been in a situation of being competitively funny, or unless you count the green room as being competitively funny. I didn't think it was competitive. I was just being, I just enjoyed myself and, larking around. But when it came to it, and this image came up, and by the time I found out where the image was, someone had already said 3 comments on it, had nothing to say, and maybe they'd been told in advance. The whole thing felt like this is a whole different field. I've not had any practice at this, and maybe I could do it. I've done news quiz. That went all right. I would like to do that a bit more, but not because I really like that as a thing to do, but that might put a few more bums on seats. So it's not something, just a minute. I've always wanted to have a go at Just a Minute. Jenny Eclair, I met Jenny Eclair, I used to share a flat with her in Edinburgh many years ago, but anyway. And she's often on it, not often, but now and then. And I heard about it because I know a few people have done it. And it's rigged, kind of rigged, in that you told the subjects in advance. So you could just write a 1-minute monologue about each subject, learn it, and win. But the money's not good enough. Apparently, it's not enough money to do that, and also that ruins it if people do it. But I would like, I'd like to have a go at that. That's one thing, and any of the others, give it a go. I think I'll be all right. I think I could do it.
What do you find brings people to see you then? Like, was it the seventh joke? Was it your social media? Was it?
It's definitely not social media, is it?
Okay.
I don't do any. So.
No, but they might look it up and read your previous tweets and go, "Oh, they seem funny."
I don't do any tweets. I'm not,
you don't do anything.
I've just established a Twitter account, but I haven't used it yet. I've done one just to see if it worked.
Oh, okay.
I haven't quite worked out what I want to do with it, but an Alan Parker Twitter feed, but I haven't done it yet. It's the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And also, so I've got a cart around the wood. It's going to be like a picture or something. I don't know. I'm thinking probably just sort of graffiti. Anyway, what brings people to see my show? I don't know. The mysterious. How I look at it in Edinburgh is each person that comes to a show is a seed, like word of mouth. Be grateful for everyone's there, do the best show you can, and hopefully they'll tell other people. Whether they tell them via text, tweet, or whatever, that's not my business. Although you tell people.
It is kind of your business.
Well,
because if you knew that everyone was coming as a result of flyering, you could just focus completely on flyering. If you knew everyone was coming because of local posters on your tour, that's what I mean. Yeah. So I wondered if you knew.
I don't know.
You don't.
Maybe could ask. I do know one thing. Local radio doesn't work.
No, I know.
Companies go. This publicist.
It's fun to do though because it's less pressure than. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Anyway, she got me loads of these local radio interviews, and so one, say for example, was in Norwich. I don't know. Always get a good crowd in Norwich, but
Stephen Bumfrey.
I'm terrible with names.
Oh, he does a lot of the...
Could well be.
Yeah.
But anyway, lovely interview. Got on fine. Anyway, so I drove to Norwich early, got there, did this, hung around for did the gig. By the way, has anyone come because they heard the interview? No one. Yeah. And the same in Sheffield, and the same in Bristol. And I was like, there's no point. Maybe in the long term, attrition wise, it will, like the next year, people they're going to remember for a year. No, I don't think so.
I was in the BuzzFeed's top 100 jokes of the Fringe. I was number 80.
Congratulations.
I was number 87.
What was it?
And
what was the joke?
It was if I had £1 for every time my girlfriend has complained about a lack of equal pay, she'd have 70p. And I remember I asked at every show, and I was like, did anyone get that far down the list? 87? Anyone carry on reading? And everyone
up
to 100, yeah. And I was literally like, seriously, you're milking it, BuzzFeed. Like, I'm on the list, and I'm telling you now there's no point in doing it above 10. like I'm happy to not be on a list if that means that I'm going to be that far down.
Yeah.
I did look at the jokes below mine, and to be fair, I was right to be that position, but I'm just...
You should look at the ones above.
Oh, no, I didn't want to...
Aim high.
I didn't want to do it. I just scrolled down to me and then just started looking down.
Right.
Or so I should look at number 50 and go, right, that's the level I need to aim for next year.
Next year.
Every year.
50, yeah.
I'll try and...
10 up.
I'll try and move up. So you've done TV shows. You've done TV and radio before. You did Future TV.
Future.
Yeah, and that was in 1999.
Okay. Oh, I'm not very good at dates.
Okay, and you then did the Stuart Lee comedy vehicle in 2009.
Ah, the pattern's developing.
Yeah.
When there's a 9 in the year, that means I'll be on TV this year, doesn't it?
I was going to ask, what are you doing this year?
Something on TV, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's every decade when there's a 9 in the year.
You're back in fashion. No, I wondered whether TV had changed, whether you'd noticed that as a thing.
Well, I haven't been on it for a while, so I don't. Has it? No, I don't know if it's changed. Has it changed?
Did it change between 99 and 2009?
Here's the different thing. Footage I've basically made myself in my room, so that doesn't really count. Whereas Stuart Lee's comedy vehicle was, with a set and a producer and a director and all that. So very different fishes. I quite like making things yourself.
And what about Attention Scum? How did that come about?
Out of Footage, and then there was Either Or, also for UK Play, which I think became Dave, but maybe I'm wrong. And it was the League Against Tedium character. And
it's back.
Stuart Lee directed it. What about that? I wasn't very happy with it. I didn't like the lack of control. There were things I wanted to do, and wasn't very happy with it. So, every so often I meet people who go, "I love that," but I didn't.
Well, we were talking at the Bill Murray like a month ago, the course thing. At the end of that, and you were telling me that you preferred the unaired pilot than the actual content that went out.
Unaired pilot?
Yeah, you said there was an unaired pilot or non-broadcast pilot that had all the best bits in.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I say that? Are you sure you don't mean like Clube Zarathustra? There was a Clube Zarathustra pilot that was never.
Oh, it might have been that then. Sorry, I might have written down the note.
Which was before that. So we made this. So there was, I'd having a budget of. I got £250,000 to spend on hats. I remember thinking to myself, I was sitting on the 73 bus.
Did they know you were going to spend it on hats? Or
Well, there's a £250,000 budget to spend on stuff, and hats. What can I do with hats? So various hat jokes. The pilot was made. Yeah, and it wasn't, but it was, never went out. I think it might be on YouTube somewhere. I don't think for Attention Scum there was a pilot. Or, I'm not sure, but the non-broadcast pilot was definitely Clube Zarathustra. I don't think there was. Maybe there was. No.
Why didn't it get broadcast? What was their feedback?
Well, it never got a series, so it was great, and then just no decision was made for a long time, and everyone drifted away. So TV, that's how TV was then. I'm sure it's not that much different now. Is you're great, you're fired. No, it's not you're fired. You're great, and just silence.
Right.
So there's a phrase in Hollywood, I believe, or just showbiz generally: stroke the talent. So everyone's going to be really friendly to you.
So they could still get back to you tomorrow, because technically they've never said no.
I think they've all died.
Okay.
And rightly so. No. It was a pity. It was a good gang of people, and it could have gone somewhere. But there you are. These things happen, or don't. Lots of things don't happen.
Well, for you, what is the worst part of the Edinburgh Festival?
The worst part of the Edinburgh Festival?
Either personally or professionally?
Well, the last week can be a bit hard, but I kind of relish that. Like when you really kind of, you've done... I take whatever gigs come in as well, just sort of keeping the adrenaline up. I think that's... You get to a stage where you're so tired, but also sort of gig hardened. You don't have nerves. Like if you haven't done a gig for a long time, you're sort of pacing around, like, nervousness. But when you're so tired from gigs, you don't have nervousness. You don't. But actually, what you're doing is you're storing up the come down from adrenaline till September. So I suppose actually the worst part is when you get home. I remember I've got home before and gone like, oh, I better go get in the car and go and get some milk because we haven't got any milk, and then going, oh, I better pull over. I can't drive.
Yeah.
I am just dizzy from just a kind of residual tiredness after a month of excess. And sometimes you do 7 or 8 gigs a day. It's nuts. But I like that. I like that excitement.
Same, yeah. We've had to add in the second middle bit, which I know doesn't make structural sense because there can only be one middle bit, but we've had to add in a second interlude because at this point of the recording, a group of cyclists came in and made a ton of background noise. So we took a 10-minute break so Simon could go and roll a cigarette and get another pint. And while I've got you, and while Simon goes to refresh himself, both Simon and I are doing the Edinburgh Fringe with 2 new shows. Yeah, that's right, I'm going to advertise it again now because I'm going to guess that some of you used your fast forward button in the last one. Both shows are linked in the show notes. I don't know much about his show because I've still not got any information from him. However, I will say that he's a massively talented comedian and I'm going to go and see it regardless. So I'm sure it'll be outstanding and you should definitely go and see it as well. Link for Simon Munnery's show in the show notes. My show is called Every Room Becomes a Panic Room When You Overthink Enough. I'm in the late stages of putting it together and loving it. It has jokes, theatre elements, sound cues. It's great. It's just great. I really love it, and I massively appreciate any support you could give me to share that link. Tell a friend. Come along if you can. If you can't come to Edinburgh, come to a show near you. All of that's in the show notes. Everything and anything is massively appreciated. I'm doing a lot of previews and work in progress shows, and so far they're going really well. I know that makes me sound surprised. I just mean because the show's pretty different to anything I've done before, so it's nice that they're going well, if that makes sense. I totally agree with Simon in that everyone who comes to your show is essentially a seed, and if they enjoy it, they can tell their friends, and it can grow momentum and get people to send other people to come down that they've met, in pubs and back alleys and wherever they've been hanging out in Edinburgh. So I'd massively appreciate if you would seed my show. That sounded way more sexual than I was expecting it to. But if you can seed it and come down and see it and then check it out and pass it on to other people, or if you can't make it, just tell people, that would be massively appreciated. I've ruined that analogy. That is just never going to work now. But basically, if you can come, let's do that. Let's all hang out and watch some funny jokes. Let's dive back into the podcast. I promise there are no more interruptions until the conversation is over now. So thanks for putting up with that. But I'd just rather not put in a load of background noise if I can avoid it. Here we go with part 3. Right, we're back online. Okay, so one of your phrases, if you like, or one of the one-liners you do is, if the crowd are behind you, you're facing the wrong way.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I wondered whether you thought comedians these days are too much preaching to their own choir.
Oh yes, no idea.
Okay.
I haven't seen everyone.
No,
I can't really judge.
As a trend, I mean, not as in.
That phrase I liked. In fact, I didn't then. A few years ago, tried to extend it when the crowd. Anyway, but the crowd gets behind. I mean, it's just a nice phrase, isn't it? The crowd gets behind you. It means you're facing the wrong way. So you should be in some sort of in opposition to, rather than a Nigel Farage kind of rally leader. You should be objecting to the general view. That seems to me there's a slight truth to it.
And it adds to the comedian's lower status than in society in general?
I don't think it makes you lower status. It makes you a bit like Jesus, doesn't it?
Right.
Maybe.
Which one were you in, God and Jesus? Were you?
I was God.
Okay, so you've downgraded technically then.
Well, I don't know, it's hard to distinguish the
hierarchy
grades between the hierarchy between God and Jesus. I believe they're kind of linked in the Christian theology.
Oh, they are, aren't they? It's the Trinity thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not very good.
They're all
with
one.
religion.
I wouldn't open that can of worms.
No, it's good. It's good that the air conditioning definitely hasn't, muffled out any of that.
No.
Because I'd hate for to get misattributed. So when you are putting together a show, do you ever, in the process of it, or even at the start of it, think about the flyers, the posters, the marketing, how you would pitch the show to get it into venues? Like, at what stage do you start thinking about how to tour it or how to sell it to people, the public?
No, very late on, if at all. So I've got an agent. They kind of sort that out. I sort of concentrate on what it is I want to do, and sometimes it doesn't come off. Like several years ago, I did a show called Hats Off to the 101ers and other material. Because I was kind of obsessed with the R101 airship disaster of 1934.
As we all are.
Just outside, I think not. Just outside Bedford is Cardington, which could have been the new Heathrow if it had taken off. It did take off, but then it crashed. Anyway, this huge airship. I saw this one photo. I saw an exhibition in Bedford Museum of it was this huge silver airship and a man with a horse-drawn plough looking up. Like, wow, that moment must have been horse-drawn plough, and there's this huge, bigger than the Titanic, huge flying silver thing, and the idea was to link up the empire, to India and Canada, and they that was the plan, and it all fell apart. Anyway, I thought I'm going to write a musical about this. Also, the interior of it, there were photos of the interior of they had a smoking room. One of the survivors was in the smoking room.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
there's a lesson to be learned there.
Yeah. But so it looked very luxurious, but everything was made of balsa wood, so it was light. It was like a stage set. I thought, that's quite theatrical, and what happened on there, conversations you can imagine on that last flight. And I read several books, I did some research, my musical, in the end it was one song and quite a lot of props. I built a 8-foot by 8-foot expandable proscenium arch. So the opening of the show, I'd go on, lift this thing up and pop it open, and it would just expand and fall down and form an 8-foot by 8-foot curved arch. I worked out the maths of how to make lattice go up straight or curve, and then made this thing that did exactly that. It went woo, pop, and then a couple of struts in. And the idea of that was I could then hang from that cardboard animations for the song, and then. But actually, by the time I got that in a suitcase and one cardboard animation, there was no more room. And sort of my practical criterion for a show is: does it fit in a suitcase? If not, it can't be done. Most, I suppose, 2 suitcases, but you're going to have a lot of trouble touring that. I've done things that required a van before, but I shy away from that. And then the next year I decided that's how I came up with the film thing, because I wanted to explore the visual and what's the best way to do that. Overhead projector. I ended up with a camera, of course. That would be the best way. I'm glad I built an 8-foot by 8-foot proscenium, expandable, collapsible, expandable proscenium art. But that's in a way what completely wasted effort.
So how do you judge short-term and long-term success in your career?
I don't. I mean, judge not.
How does your agent judge short-term and long-term?
Presumably it's bums on seats.
Okay.
How much you can charge for a gig. I think that's how it's judged, isn't it, generally? How do I judge it?
Well, I don't know if you have a personal different barometer for a show or for a thing that you're working on, whether you...
Personally, I go on currently, like my tour show. It's not specifically how much merchandise. It's how much merchandise I sell, but not like the money so much as the people who come up after. So for a long time, I've sold books. Well, I ran out of books for a long time, but I've got a second edition, so sell a lot of books and some DVDs. Often, good technique for selling DVDs is to run out of books. No one wants DVDs, it's a bygone format. But anyway, but postcards of my painting, I've been amazed at. There's the queues of people to buy postcards, and they're so nice as well. They just want to spend £1 to have one as a souvenir of the show, but they don't want to spend a £5 on a book or £10 on a DVD. One bloke bought 10. Oh, well, 10 to give to friends. I went, oh, yeah.
Might as well have bought a DVD for that money.
What man came up and said, I love coming to your shows. Just got some show he'd been to before. To be in that audience was the loveliest thing, and I'd never looked at it like that. I thought, oh yeah, in a way, you always think about what you do, but it's actually about the audience and what it's like to be in the audience. And my audiences, touch wood, are so far so good, lovely on this tour. So that, I suppose, that's how I judge a show. Practically, how I judge a show is, if I don't do it very well, then no one will buy anything. It's just the people coming up afterwards, and I like to send you a scum, or I saw, I saw your double act 30 years ago. A regular customer.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll see you another 30 years then.
So we have 30 years, 1999, 2009. Keeps coming back.
That happens. Oh, yeah. Or they'll tell me about some gig that I can't remember. I've done a lot.
You do make a disproportionate impact on people, because it's a job. I think a lot of comedians don't think about, that one gig that you did that you thought, I didn't do my best or whatever. They actually remember you and think, oh, you were part of that evening out, and it was part of our life outside of your work, if you like.
Yeah. I do think comedians tend to undervalue what they do a bit, because you can easily say to yourself, oh God, what have I done with my life? I've just made some people laugh a bit, but actually that's no bad thing. But it can seem kind of ephemeral, kind of I haven't built a cathedral.
You built a collapsible.
I built a collapsible 8 foot by 8 foot proscenium arch. What do you want? Well, it is a kind of cathedral, isn't it?
Yeah. And you work with Go Faster Stripe to produce DVDs.
Several DVDs, yeah.
How is that as a process versus, say, for example, like you said, trying to put together TV shows or other things that were maybe not made? I
don't think it's very different, film a thing. No, generally DVDs tend to be a show filmed. So there's not really much process to it. You just do the show and they film it. Although the film and the film maker and film were, it's pre-filmed, doesn't really need filming because the whole thing is filmed. So that was maybe slightly different, but generally do a show and they film it. It's quite a nice process, really. I don't think. I personally don't like being filmed. I don't think it just adds an extra level of nervousness, which you don't really need. So.
Once it's been so, like some of your work's on YouTube, and once something's been put, you really need to get on social media. There's loads of it out there. You're everywhere. But if anything, it's pretty much you and Paul.
Am I a meme?
I can make
That's
you a
my
meme
dream.
if you want.
My dream is to be a meme. I dream to be a meme.
Well, there is stuff out there on you, and I wondered, and by the sounds of it, you didn't even know it was there. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence, basically. No, I'm guessing from the way that you didn't know it was there, that this isn't a question that you'll be able to answer, but a lot of comedians feel like once they've done like a set on TV, for example, and X number of million people have seen it, they sort of have to retire that material.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you record a show, or if someone uploads to the internet, you have to move on from that material, or that's like the full stop for you?
If you're on that sort of escalator of stadium tours, whatever, I think you've probably got to do a new show each year. Although I believe Jimmy Carr doesn't. But anyway, I've no evidence, but I read that somewhere. Some don't. I don't think that. I think I tend to do anyway. There might be a bit of old, bit of new. I don't think it matters. I think it's very unlikely any particular audience have seen everything you've ever done. So, bit of old, bit of new. What's wrong with the classics? But yeah, I like the show I'm doing at the moment. Most of that has never been done. There's a couple of lines that I've recycled, but just because they fit in, I think that's fine. You sort of make your own. It's all got to be new. 80-90%. There's always got a sort of thing to it, and it sort of works out. I don't think there's anything wrong with recycling a bit. It doesn't have to be all new. But if I was, had a TV show on every week, then I'll tour what you've just seen. That makes no sense. So obviously not.
Yeah, and I assume you've never had a writer. You've never had someone write for you, or
not to my knowledge, no. Although there were those slips of paper shoved under the door. No, I've never had a writer.
What door? Where's the door leading to?
Thank you.
Watch out, I've got the last quick fire questions.
Oh, great. Okay.
The quick fire for me.
Quick fire.
You
Fingers on buzzers.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is the best stand-up show you've ever seen?
Bzzz. That was, I don't know, it wasn't a stand-up show. The funniest show I've ever seen was Mr. Andrew Bailey in Edinburgh at the Stand 2. Towards the end of the festival, perhaps the last week, came in, and Andrew Bailey's the most amazing act. Like, no two Andrew Bailey shows are the same. Sort of indescribable doesn't really describe it. But anyway, lots of props, a lot of props. One of the biggest users of props, but making props as well, creating props wherever he goes. But so the show began, it was in a round room, curtain across the back, and it began with his bald head just appearing above the curtain, right? And then, which is funny enough in itself, just above the curtain rather than coming through the curtain. And it's all sort of, there weren't that many in, but we were all laughing. And then for some reason the curtain just collapsed. And it was towards the end of the festival, for some reason the stage manager panicked and thought the best thing to do would be to run on and save the curtain. So he did. He grabbed the curtain and took it out. I don't think this was deliberate. And then there was just these stacks of well-ordered props in little boxes. But he was kind of naked, here they all were. And he then started trying to do the show by explaining what these things which we could all see. Anyway, I and everyone else in that audience, we cried with laughter, just tears of laughter. It was right on that clowning, things have gone wrong. That's the sort of the area he plays. So Andrew Bailey, it was the funniest show I've ever seen. Not classic stand-up though. No,
a lot of comedians define themselves as comedians, but like say they make more money as like a voiceover actor or a TV presenter or something. How would your income define you, and how would you define yourself?
Poor. I think is the answer. That's it.
Well, that's it. You don't want to. How would you label yourself as an act?
Well, as a comedian, that's right. Comedian, poet. I do poetry gigs, so that qualifies me. Poet, comedian, comedian.
And do you make most of your money from gigs, or do you do other things? Okay, so
whatever comes in, but very little comes in other than that. So if it did, I'm available.
Okay. What is the biggest mistake you've ever made, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest mistake I've ever made. I didn't classic mistake was so once I finished doing a gig, particularly if I got like technical things like video or computer, or it looks like I finished, but I haven't finished till I've got everything packed in the box. Then I can have a drink and relax at the bar or whatever. So I was at Aspen Comedy Festival doing League Against Tedium. Very weird gig, a bit weird anyway. One particular bit, was any Catholics in, and from loads of directions at the same time was no. And I'd never heard that before. Like the audience knew, and it was funny for them as well. No, because we're Jewish. This is HBO's Weekend. Well, I didn't know that. It was just like, to me, any Catholic sin is just sort of a question. Yeah. It wasn't, and to them it was sort of funny to ask that even. Anyway, that's beside the point. Gig finishes, went well. I'm packing, I've got to get all the cables back in the box, power down the computer. Bloke comes up to me on the stage and goes, I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, I'm clearing up. Afterwards, the stage manager comes up and goes, do you know who that was? I went, no. That's Matt Groening from the... Oh no! I really like The Simpsons. I should have been more polite. Yeah. So that's a mistake, isn't it? Just that kind of being in a mode where you haven't finished till you're on adrenaline and you've got to tidy up. That's at the end of a gig. I'm like that till I've tidied. Particularly props, like they become quite important to you, and it's so that is a mistake. Okay, definitely.
What is the common misconception people have about your work?
I don't know. How would I know that?
People tell you.
Oh.
Or a lot of people read it in reviews, like they read, he does this, and you're like, well, I don't do that.
I suppose I do read, but reviews of. So someone reviews you, and then it gets like onto Wikipedia or somewhere, and it sort of follows you around, like surreal. I don't know. I don't think I'm particularly surreal. But anyway, that word follows me around a bit. It doesn't worry me. But am I surreal? Do you think the surrealist, Dada, those people? I don't think I'm much like that. Mainly, the last few shows, I've just talked about things that have actually happened. Maybe a little twist on it, but it's not. I wouldn't say fish. I have done things like that, but not for a long time. But that word sort of. So I suppose that is a misconception.
Yeah, you go back to what we were talking about before. You get pigeonholed with something from your early days because people know what you're about. Who do you think is the most underrated person in the comedy industry?
The doorman.
The doorman.
Very important for the atmosphere of a gig. How people are treated as they come in, the door bitch, or whatever they call it. How that element isn't, is underrated. You don't think enough about that. It's all about it's all about creating an atmosphere, and that's the first person you meet on your way in. Lighting. That's not the person though. So who's the most underrated?
Yeah.
Me.
Do you have any favourite up-and-coming acts that you look out for every year at the Fringe?
No. No, I like to see people get on with it. No, I wish everyone well. Those people I look out for. No, Edinburgh's sort of like, I don't look out for people. It's kind of like you bump into people. It's like I don't have that.
Okay.
I don't even read the brochure particularly. I might flick through it once or something, but I'm not looking out for anyone.
Okay.
I like meeting people, but that just happens.
Yeah, that happens naturally.
So I that's what I like. I like something. I don't like planning to see. Like I have done it, not for years though. But like, I see this, and this. What are you doing? I'll go to see that. Oh, come. We go and see the thing. And, it's a surprise. I haven't read no reviews. I like to see something fresh without the planning element. Like if something's got a 5-star review, it will attract. From personal experience, it attracts the 5-star review hunters, and they're on hiding to nothing because the person who gave it the 5-star review saw something that was surprising and amazing, and they've told everyone it's going to be surprising and amazing, and therefore it can't be. Thank you.
It's the same with the 1-star review hunters. I'll often go and see reviews that get 1 star because I'm like,
shows.
Sorry.
I'll go
and see reviewers. I'll go and watch a reviewer do a show. No, I love going and see stuff that gets 1-star review because normally I don't agree with it. I genuinely don't. I just think you've seen it on an off day, or you've seen, or you. Or
it's a compliment, isn't it? If you go and see something, it can't be that bad.
Yeah. It can be sometimes, to be fair. I'm not going to say I've never seen a show that I would not have given a 1-star review to.
I did try and bribe a journalist one night in Edinburgh to give me a 0 stars review, right? Because I was being very cocky and I didn't care what reviewers thought. And she went, I gave her the $5, and she was going to do it, and she did it. She put it in, but it didn't come out. The next morning we'll go, I bribed a journalist to give me a 0 star out of sheer bravado. I just shooting yourself in the foot. Career-wise.
I once asked, Copstick. I once asked Copstick.
It was Copstick.
Was it? See, this is the thing. I once said to her, "Could you do me a favour?
It was a Kate Copstick.
Yeah. I said to her, "Could you either give me a scathingly awful review and 5 stars, or a 1-star review that reads amazingly? Because I just want to see if anyone actually bothers reading it if it's other way around." And she always said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that." I never did. And I was like, "Oh come on, can we just stick with some people?"
Well, this particular occasion, she did do it, but it didn't come out because the festival ended before. But anyway,
next year you can put it on. Just have a translucent, transparent.
Best
start.
not to get drunk and start challenging journalists to give you.
I once, what do you think? Actually, let's do this one.
I thought that's more than 5 questions.
I know, because I'm just doing the quick fire ones. I assume there.
How many quick fire? How many left?
3.
Oh God, come on.
Let's do 3.
No. Sorry, what was the question?
Okay. What is the biggest problem in the comedy industry, and how would you go about solving it? If I picked the worst 3, haven't I?
Yeah. What is the biggest problem in the comedy industry?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer that.
And how would you go about solving? No.
Yeah.
I'm not counting that question then.
No.
What is the best bit of advice a comedian has ever given you?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the best bit, but the bit I can remember is it's in Nova Scotia, Canada, and it was I can't remember his name, but it's a Irish Canadian, which a lot of them are, from Prince Edward Island comic, and we were doing a gig in Halifax, and he went out into the room before anyone was in there. It was for Canadian TV gig, but anyway, it's a big theatre, and he wanted to see it because when the lights are on, you can't see the room, but he wanted to know where it was, and he was sort of pretending to throw baseballs just to sort of get the shape of the room in his mind. And he gave me a little trick, a little tip, which was that if you think the audience are tired, you go, "Hey, how you doing? Are you tired?" And they'll do their best to prove you wrong. So that's quite a good tip, I thought.
That is a good tip.
Never used it, but it's good to have these things.
What was your first artistic scar or stumbling block?
Artistic
scar or stumbling block. It's like the first time that you were ever told no, or the first time that something went completely wrong, and how did you overcome that? Like an idea maybe that you thought was amazing and it just never worked.
I've not had that. Like I think something that never worked. Something I thought was amazing but never worked. There must have been something. There's been loads of things. They sort of drop away. There's things that didn't work for a long time and then did, but things that never worked. Nope, no.
Okay.
Can't think of something.
Last question. If you could go back to your past self and give yourself one bit of advice before your first gig, what would it have been?
Do something more lucrative.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, son.
That was Simon. Hearing how he has no plan is so refreshing. As someone with a plan and who surrounds himself with other driven people with plans, it's great to see someone who has done amazing without one. Also, his aversion to social media was a particular interest of mine. I loved hearing about how he's trying to get away from screens as much as possible. I have a slight addiction to social media, and although I log off as much as I can, like at weekends and in the evenings, I still spend way too much time on my phone and on my computer. Not living in fear. I loved hearing his thoughts on that. Working out how you can know what you're scared of and then tackling that head on. Great idea. It could be leaving your management, it could be flying, but I just love the idea of going, I don't want to live in fear. That's a choice. I can choose to not live in fear. I mean, up to a point, don't, do anything illegal or mental, but up to a certain point you can go, well, I'm not going to live in fear with that anymore. And that was really inspiring as well. And actually, if I'm honest with you, that's really helped me go out of my way and beyond what I thought I could do joke-wise for the show. Normally I'd encourage you to send the guest a thank you tweet, but he doesn't really reply to things for gaps of about 6 months at a time. So send me a tweet and say you liked it, and I will pass it on to him somehow, either through text or carrier pigeon or any of the methods that he actually prefers. If you like this episode, you might also like the episode with Phil Jupitus, who talked about his life after Never Mind the Buzzcocks, or the episode with Amanda Iannucci, who spoke about how he decides who he collaborates with and how he got his first projects and scripts purchased and made. Really amazing episodes, bound to learn everything about that. If you want to learn more about the Edinburgh Festival, I'd also advise, the Phil Jupitus episode is really good for that, because he talks about paid versus free Fringe, because he does a show on each every year, but also the episode with Jo Caulfield. She was full of information and full of the ways that she gets in people. It's amazing. I definitely recommend that episode. As I mentioned, Simon has an Edinburgh show, linked in the show notes. I have an Edinburgh show called Every Room is a Panic Room When You Overthink Enough. It's in the show notes. Support us both. Please come down. The RC Industry Podcast is a Fruit That Got in Gravity's Way production for the internet. All elements were created by me, comedian Simon Caine. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for subscribing. And thank you very much for rating and donating if you do. There's links to my PayPal and my Patreon in the show notes. Please do support the show in any way you can. Everything helps. Don't assume other people are doing it. I'll see you all in about 14 days' time. Bye.